Have you ever thrown yourself into practice, work, or a relationship with everything you have, only to find that the harder you tried, the more exhausted, frustrated, and resentful you became? Have you ever looked at someone who seems very devoted and hardworking on the outside, yet their face is always tense, their words are sharp, and you silently wondered, if this is spiritual progress, do I really want it? Welcome back to the channel, my friend. I am really happy you are here. Today we are going to sit with a question that quietly decides the success or failure of a whole life of practice. Why is it that sometimes, the more effort you put in, the further you feel from peace? What is the invisible line between genuine diligence and stubborn attachment? And how can one tiny shift in your heart transform the same outer effort from self-torture into a path of wisdom and awakening? At the beginning, I want to name the core point very simply. True diligence is effort guided by wisdom, compassion, and clarity. Attachment is effort driven by ego, fear, and comparison. From the outside, they may look almost the same long hours, same rituals, same hard work, but inside, they are heading in completely different directions. One is moving toward liberation, the other is tightening the chains. So let us walk together through a long, honest exploration. We will start with everyday scenes, the kind of stories you and I have actually lived. Then we will slowly peel them open to see what is really happening inside. We will see how trying your best can secretly become hurting yourself when it is mixed with I, me, mine. And we will also talk about how to practice a different kind of diligence, one that is steady but relaxed, focused but spacious, committed but not rigid. If you are ready, take a breath. Maybe you are already tired from trying so hard in life. Let this be a place where you can put down that invisible backpack for a while and look at it from the outside. Imagine a person who has just found the path of Dharma. Let us call him Ben. Dan has always been a go hard or go home type. In school, he was the student who stayed up all night before exams. At work, he becomes the one who takes on extra tasks to prove himself. In relationships, he overgives at the beginning and burns out later. He thinks this is just who he is, someone who lives on intensity. One day, he encounters the teachings of karma, emptiness, compassion. Something deep inside him lights up. He feels, this is it. This is what I have been searching for. So he does exactly what he has always done. He throws himself into it. He sets a strict schedule. From today on, I will chant this sutra 3 times every day. Recite this mantra 10,000 times. Prostrate 108 times. Meditate for at least 1 hour. I will give up this bad habit, that bad habit, and that one too. No more slacking. I am going to change my life. For the first few days, the momentum of inspiration carries him. He is full of gratitude, tears in his eyes as he chants. He posts photos of his altar, his beads, his books. Friends comment, "You are so dedicated." He feels proud, but he calls it faith. After a week, his body starts sending signals. His knees hurt from the prostrations. His back aches from sitting in a posture he is not used to. He sleeps too late because he crammed all his practice tasks after work. So the next day at the office he is dizzy, irritable, not able to focus. A small voice inside whispers, "This is too much. Can you really keep this up for months and years?" Another louder voice snaps back, "Do not be weak. This is karma. This is purification. If you stop now, you are just lazy. You are wasting your only chance in this human life." So he pushes harder. Now, because he is tired and stressed, he becomes more easily upset. A small mistake from a coworker makes him angry. But in his mind, he tells himself, I am just being responsible. At home, when his partner wants to talk or spend time together, he feels annoyed because it cuts into his practice schedule. He thinks, why can you not understand that I am doing something holy here? If a friend invites him out, he declines with a tone that makes the friend feel judged, as if they are just worldly and he is on the path. The more he practices, the more lonely and misunderstood he feels. His face tightens. His voice becomes sharp. He catches himself thinking, I am the only one who is really serious. Everyone else is half-hearted. One evening, after a long day of work and a late night of forced practice, he sits in front of the Buddha image and suddenly feels empty in a very heavy way. Not the emptiness of wisdom, but the emptiness of burnout. He feels no warmth, no joy, just numbness and a quiet resentment. I am doing so much. Why does it feel like there is less and less light? Is Dharma even working? Maybe it is all just words. He starts doubting the teachings, doubting himself, doubting everything. From the outside, someone might say, look at Ben, he is so diligent. But from the inside, he is actually trapped. He did not find freedom. He turned practice into another arena for performance and self-oppression. This is what happens when diligence is mixed with attachment. Now, contrast this with another person. Let us call her Anna. Anna also discovers the Dharma. She feels grateful and inspired, but her temperament is different. She has burned out before in other areas of life, so she is cautious. She goes to a senior practitioner and asks, I really want to practice sincerely, but I know my habits. I tend to either go to extremes or give up. How should I start? The teacher smiles and says, start small, but stable. Do not measure your sincerity by how many pages you can chant in one night. Measure it by how many days you can keep going without lying to yourself. So Anna sets a modest vow. Every day, no matter what, I will spend 15 minutes in sincere practice. If I can do more, I will. But these 15 minutes are non-negotiable. On some days, the 15 minutes becomes 30, becomes 45. On busy days, it is exactly 15. On very difficult days, it might be 10 minutes of chanting and 5 minutes of just sitting quietly, breathing with the name of Buddha. At first, a part of her ego complains, this is too little. Real practitioners do much more. But she notices something. Weeks turn into months, and she has not abandoned her vow. Her practice becomes like brushing teeth, not grand, not showy, but essential. It is organic. It starts to weave naturally into her life. While doing housework, she softly recites a mantra. While waiting for the bus, she silently chants Buddha's name. She does not constantly tell others about her practice. She does not compare numbers. She cares more about whether her heart is a bit softer than yesterday, whether her temper has shortened or lengthened. When she is tired, she does not beat herself up. She bows and says in her mind, today my body is really exhausted. I will shorten the chanting, but I will not break the connection. Year by year, this kind of gentle but firm diligence slowly transforms her. People around her begin to feel that her presence has more space, more warmth. She still gets angry sometimes, still makes mistakes, but she recovers faster. She apologizes more easily. She laughs more lightly. From the outside, her schedule might look less impressive than Ben's, but inside, her practice is alive. It breathes, it grows. So what is the difference between these two? It is not intelligence, not social status, not how much free time they have. It is one thought. Ben's thought is, I must do this to prove something. I must push myself to the limit. I must be better than before, better than others, so that I can feel safe and worthy. Anna's thought is, I wish to walk this path for a long time. With a clear and kind heart, let me adjust my effort so that it can be sustained. And let me constantly check whether my practice is making me more compassionate. One is full of I must, I should, I have to, I will show. The other is oriented toward the path itself, the path of wisdom, compassion, and awakening. Now, let us bring this closer to your own life. Maybe your practice is not only chanting or meditating. Maybe it is your work, your parenting, your relationship, your self-improvement journey. Think about an area where you feel you are really trying. It could be your career. You stay late. You take on more responsibilities. You attend every meeting. You read self-help books. You listen to podcasts during your commute. People praise you as driven, ambitious. But if you are honest, inside there is an undercurrent of fear. If I do not push myself, I will be replaced, forgotten, left behind. You work so hard you forget how to rest. Even when you are home, your brain is at the office. You say you are doing it for your family, but you snap at them when they interrupt your emails. You say you want success, but your body is sending distress signals every day. This is diligence on the surface, attachment underneath, attached to status, attached to image, attached to security. Or maybe you are in a relationship. You give and give and give. You always put the other person first. You pride yourself on being devoted, but deep inside, you are terrified of being abandoned. So your devotion is actually a contract with your own fear. If I sacrifice enough, you will not leave me. Then, when they do something you do not like, all your suppressed resentment explodes. After everything I have done for you, how could you treat me like this? This is not pure love. This is love mixed with attachment and unconscious bargaining. We are not here to judge you for it. We are here to see it clearly, because the moment you see it, that is the moment the knot begins to loosen. So how do we tell, in daily life, whether we are practicing diligence or attachment? Look at a few signs. First, look at your body. True diligence has tiredness. Of course, we are human, but it does not constantly push you past all limits. There is a basic respect for the body as the vessel of practice. Attachment ignores the body. It treats the body like a slave to be driven until it collapses. Second, look at your heart. After effort, even if you are physically tired, does your heart feel more spacious or more contracted? Are you kinder to others or more likely to snap and blame? True diligence may stretch you, but it does not make you harder. Attachment often leaves you brittle, ready to break. Third, look at your relationships. Are you becoming easier to be around as you improve yourself or more difficult? Do people feel safe opening up to you? Or do they feel constantly judged by your standards? A path that claims to be about compassion, but leaves you isolated and constantly disappointed in everyone might need serious examination. Fourth, look at your self-talk. When you fail or slip, do you use practice as a whip? See, you are useless. You cannot even meditate properly. Others are so devoted. You are just lazy. Or do you respond with honest reflection and gentle correction? I did not keep my vow today. I feel regret. Let me learn from this and begin again. The first voice belongs to attachment. The second belongs to wisdom. There is a saying in one classic of philosophy about the middle way when balance and harmony are present. Heaven and earth rest in their proper place, and all things grow. That middle is not mediocrity. It is not laziness. It is a living balance that constantly adjusts according to conditions. Too much, you burn. Too little, you drift. Spiritual practice, like life itself, is an art of tuning. Think of tuning a guitar string. If you pull it too tight, it snaps. If you leave it too loose, it buzzes and the sound is dull. The right pitch comes from listening, adjusting, listening again. Your effort is like that string. If you constantly yank yourself with harsh vows and punishments, you might break. If you never challenge yourself, you might never grow. The art is to listen deeply. What kind of effort opens my heart and sharpens my clarity? And what kind of effort shuts me down and makes me cold? Here is another story, this time about a woman on the path, not in a monastery, but in a very ordinary life. Her name is Kara. She is in her 30s, with a job, a husband, and a small child. She comes to the Dharma after a period of depression. The teachings on impermanence and cause and effect help her see her life in a new way. She decides she wants to practice seriously. At first, she's like Ben. She sets very ambitious targets. I will wake at 4 in the morning every day to meditate. I will never lose my temper. I will never complain again. I will stop eating all unhealthy food. I will be a model practitioner and mother. For a few days, she manages. She wakes before dawn, sits through fatigue, smiles at everyone, cooks meals with more attention. She feels heroic. On day 5, her child gets sick in the night. She wakes multiple times. In the morning, the alarm goes off at 4. Her body feels like stone. She drags herself up anyway because I promised. She sits, head nodding, mind foggy, irritated at every little noise. At breakfast, she snaps at her husband for not helping enough. She scolds her child for spilling juice even though he is sick. Driving to work, she realizes that her holy schedule is making her less patient at exactly the moments when love is needed most. That night, she cries in front of the altar, "I wanted to be better." She whispers, "Why did I become worse?" Slowly, through many trials, she starts learning another way. She adjusts her vow. Instead of 4 in the morning every day, she chooses a realistic time that fits her family's rhythm. If the night was full of crying and fevers, she allows herself to sleep a little more, but keeps a small anchor of practice during the day. Maybe in the car before going into work. Maybe sitting quietly for 10 minutes during lunch. She stops making grand, absolute vows like never lose my temper again. Instead, she vows, when I lose my temper, I will apologize as soon as I can. And I will watch more carefully the moment before anger explodes, so that slowly I can catch it earlier. She stops saying, "I will never complain," which only pushes her frustration underground. Instead, she practices expressing dissatisfaction clearly and calmly, without blaming anyone. Year by year, her practice becomes lighter yet deeper. If you knew her only from the outside, you might not call her extreme or hardcore. But those who live with her feel the difference. Her child grows up with a mother who is not always perfect, but who can say, "I am sorry, I was wrong," and who gets down on the floor and plays instead of constantly running off to do more holy tasks. Her husband feels more seen and less judged. And inside, Kara feels her own center becoming more stable. She is not dragging herself by force. She is walking, sometimes slowly, sometimes faster, but always walking. This is the spirit of true diligence. Let us bring in the lens of cause and effect more directly. When effort is driven by ego, the cause you are planting is not only "I tried hard," you are also planting I am tense, self-centered, and proud of my tension. The result of that cause cannot be genuine peace. It leads to more tension. When effort is guided by wisdom, the cause you are planting is I act with intention, but I also observe and adjust. I care about the path, but I do not turn it into a weapon against myself or others. The result of that cause is more discernment, more softness. You can see this very simply with one question. After a period of effort, ask yourself, am I more open to others or more closed? If you are more closed, some kind of attachment has hijacked your diligence. Another important aspect is the question of for whom am I doing this? You might say, for the Buddha, for my family, for all beings. But if you listen honestly, often the real answer might be, for the picture I have of myself. There is a kind of invisible award ceremony inside many minds. Best practitioner, most dedicated, most ascetic. Even if there is no real audience, the ego plays both roles, the performer and the judge. It says, if I skip a day of practice, I am a failure. It says, if I do not meet my own extreme standards, I am worthless. It says, if others do not see how hard I am working, it does not count. If you listen carefully, you will notice that this voice is actually very old. It may come from parents who only praised you when you achieved, from teachers who only valued top grades, from a culture that glorifies overwork and burnout as proof of worth. When that voice takes over your spiritual life, the Dharma becomes just another arena for perfectionism. That is why genuine practice always includes a deep, tender honesty. You can sit in front of your altar and say something like, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to my own deeper wisdom, I admit I am attached to being seen as diligent. I am attached to my own image as a serious practitioner, a good child, a successful person. I am afraid of being ordinary. Please help me see when my effort is coming from ego, and help me learn a different way. This kind of confession is not weakness, it is strength. Because when you name the attachment, it loses some of its power. From the perspective of spiritual wisdom, the deepest diligence is not the diligence of doing endless tasks. It is the diligence of watching your own mind, moment by moment. You might be chanting, but if your mind is constantly checking, how many pages left? How many prostrations done? Did I meet my target? Then you are actually practicing the habit of counting and comparing, not the habit of presence and devotion. On the other hand, you might be doing something very ordinary, washing dishes, caring for a child, listening to a friend. If you are fully present, if you are aware of your breath, if you are letting go of distractions to truly show up, that is also diligence. You are training your mind to be here, not scattered. The spiritual path is not separate from life. True effort is not confined to a cushion or prayer hall. There is an old description of virtuous effort that breaks it into 4 directions. Stop unwholesome habits that already exist. Prevent unwholesome habits that are about to arise. Cultivate wholesome habits that have not yet arisen. Maintain unstrengthened wholesome habits that are already present. Seen this way, effort is not about punishing yourself. It is about taking care of your inner garden with intelligence. If a certain way of practicing makes you more irritable, more judgmental, more closed, then even if it looks intense, it may not be wholesome. If a quieter, gentler way makes you more patient, more loving, and more honest, it might be much more powerful in the long run, even if no one else notices. Now, I want to speak to one very specific fear that often haunts sincere people. Many of you are afraid that if you relax even a little, you will fall into laziness. You think, if I stop forcing myself, I will do nothing. I will waste my life. That fear is understandable. Maybe in the past, when you let yourself relax, you did slide into indulgence. So you went to the other extreme. But consider this: when a child learns to walk, we do not tie their legs to keep them upright. We support them as they wobble. We let them fall and stand again. Over time, their muscles grow, their sense of balance improves, and they walk steadily. Your inner diligence is like that child. At first, it may need some structure, some rules, but if you tie it too tightly with fear, it will never learn to stand on its own. Real discipline eventually becomes internal. You practice until your own heart naturally wants to show up for what matters. At that point, relaxing does not mean collapsing. It means trusting your inner compass. To reach that point, you can practice a middle approach. Not everything goes. Not everything must be perfect. Something like this: I will set a realistic minimum for my practice or my work. I will honor it as best I can. When I fall short, I will not excuse it, but I will also not beat myself up. I will study what pulled me off track and adjust my environment and my habits. Over time, as this cycle repeats, your confidence grows. You see that you can relax without falling apart. Another key ingredient is joy. Diligence without joy becomes dry and brittle. Joy without diligence becomes shallow and scattered. The path asks us to cultivate both. Joy does not mean constant excitement. It is a quiet appreciation, a sense of gratitude that you can sit, breathe, chant, learn, love, even on hard days. If you find that you dread your practice, that it feels like a heavy burden, it might be time to adjust. You can ask, what aspects of the path bring me alive? How can I include more of that? Maybe long, complicated chanting is not your way right now, but a simple repeated name of Buddha while walking can open your heart. Maybe formal sitting meditation makes you anxious, but mindful body movement, like slow walking or gentle stretching, feels more natural. As long as you are cultivating awareness, kindness, and insight into impermanence, you are walking. This does not mean never pushing your limits. Sometimes growth requires stretching into discomfort, but the discomfort of growth feels different from the pain of self-violence. Growth feels meaningful. Like a good workout, self-violence feels empty and resentful. You can learn to distinguish them by staying close to your own experience. Let me share a moment from a practitioner's life that captures this difference. He was on a retreat, determined to meditate for many hours a day. On day 3, his knees were on fire. His back screamed. His thoughts were wild. The instructor had said, "Stay with the posture if you can." So he gritted his teeth, refusing to move, judging anyone who adjusted as weak. Eventually, his body went numb. His mind, instead of becoming clearer, filled with anger. Why do we have to sit like this? This is pointless. I hate this. After the session, he limped to the teacher. Frustrated, the teacher asked, "What did you learn from that sitting?" He said, "I learned I am weak. I could not conquer the pain. I could not be still. I am a bad practitioner." The teacher looked at him with kindness and said, "What I see is that you learned you could torture yourself in the name of practice. That is not the lesson we hoped for." He continued, "There is a difference between meeting discomfort with awareness and using discomfort to feed your ego. Next time, sit with sincere effort. But when you reach the edge where your body sends a clear message of danger instead of challenge, adjust your posture mindfully. That adjustment, done with awareness, instead of impulse, is also part of practice. This was a revolution for that practitioner. He realized that he had been equating enduring pain without moving with true diligence. In fact, he had been feeding his pride. So, when you feel yourself saying, "The more it hurts, the better," pause. Ask, is this hurting my ego or my life? Is this pain revealing attachments? Or is it just damaging my body and relationships? The path is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to strip away what is false and reveal what is true. Now, as we move toward wrapping this long conversation together, I want to talk about what all of this means for you. Right now, wherever you are, maybe you recognize yourself in Ben, driven and burned out. Maybe you recognize yourself in Anna or Kara, slowly learning to balance. Maybe you are somewhere in between. Wherever you are, you can start by doing 3 simple things in your heart. First, admit honestly where your effort has hurt you or others, not to drown in guilt, but to stop repeating the same pattern unconsciously. Second, forgive yourself for not knowing better before. You were doing the best you could with the understanding you had. Now that you see more, you can choose more. Third, make one small adjustment in how you practice effort from today onward. Not a huge, dramatic change. Just one step toward wiser diligence and away from stubborn attachment. That adjustment might be allowing yourself to sleep a bit more so that your mind can be clear enough to practice. It might be shortening your chanting session but bringing more presence to each syllable. It might be taking a day to rest instead of pushing through and exploding at your loved ones. It might be apologizing when your seriousness turns into criticism. Each of these is not a failure. It is a sign that your path is becoming more real. In many traditions, wisdom is described as seeing cause and effect clearly, and compassion is described as responding to that vision with kindness. True diligence is when your effort is guided by both. You see that overwork leads to harm, so you adjust. You see that self-indulgence leads to stagnation, so you gently challenge yourself. You see that ego loves extremes, so you keep coming back to the middle, again and again and again. Will you still sometimes go too far in one direction? Of course. This is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You might find yourself trying too hard and burning out. Then you might swing to not trying at all. Then, slowly, the swings get smaller as you learn the taste of balance. The important thing is to stay in the conversation with your own heart, to keep asking, right now, what is wise effort? What is kind effort? I want to leave you with a very simple image. Imagine you are holding a small flame in your hands. This flame is your aspiration, your wish to awaken, to be of benefit, to live with more clarity and love. If you hold it too loosely, the wind of distraction will blow it out. That is laziness, neglect. If you grip it too tightly, you will smother it or burn yourself. That is harsh attachment, fanaticism. True diligence is like cupping your hands around the flame with just the right tenderness, protecting it, feeding it, sometimes shielding it during storms, sometimes letting it burn brighter when fuel is available. You are not obsessed with the size of the flame from day to day. You care about keeping it alive for the long journey. So, my friend, as you leave this video style talk and return to your ordinary but sacred life, I invite you to ask yourself, in the way I am trying right now in my practice, my work, my love, am I protecting the flame or suffocating it? If you feel that you have been suffocating it, do not despair. Gently loosen your grip. Let a little air in. Let some joy in. Let some rest in. You might be surprised to find that the flame instead of shrinking, starts to burn more steadily. If what we talked about today resonated with you, if you saw your own story in Ben, or Anna, or Kara, I would really love to hear from you. In the comments, you can share one area where you feel you have been trying too hard in a painful way, and one small shift you want to experiment with from today. Your experience, your honesty, may be exactly the mirror that helps someone else who is quietly suffering under the weight of their own effort. If you would like more long-form content like this, where we explore awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, spiritual discipline, and how all these play out in the messy details of daily life, remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video if it helped you, and share it with friends who might need to hear these words. If you feel called to support this work so that we can keep creating deep, thoughtful scripts for your practice, you are warmly invited to join as a member as well. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end of this long reflection. May you discover, step by step, that you do not have to destroy yourself to grow. May your effort become more and more guided by wisdom and compassion, until the path itself feels less like pushing a heavy rock uphill, and more like walking with a trusted friend toward a horizon that is wide, bright, and deeply peaceful. Life gets noisy. Work, stress, expectations. Sometimes we lose touch with the quiet part of ourselves. Bracelet isn't just an accessory. It's a small reminder that you deserve peace. You deserve moments of stillness. You deserve to hold on to your inner balance. If one of these bracelets speaks to your heart, you'll find the purchase link in the description below, and even more auctions available on our channel's shop page. Pick home the one that feels right.